Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is May the 26th, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hopefully you had a good day. Hopefully it treated you well. As for me, as for mines, it's been a good day. It's been a good one. Let's start off at the top. I woke up. I generally started the day feeling pretty good. Slept pretty well, which is really nice coming off of a weekend. So I was like, all right, let's go. Let's tackle the day. But by the time I get to work, I kind of start noticing like, ooh, my head hurts. Like I don't feel too hot. And also I was a little bit bummed too because there wasn't that much work. But spoilers, we did string a good amount of work along, and overall the work day was as I wanted it to be. Met my expectations in that regard, so that was good. But I was just not feeling great. I was like I had a headache to the point of like almost like mild dizziness, and I was like, this isn't good. So I'm trying to drink water, still not doing much. I take some Advil, still not doing much, and I'm like, okay, third option, what should we do? And it's like, I think it's time to eat it out. I think it's time to eat. So on my first break, I went ahead and got a chicken salad sandwich and ate that alongside of my PB&J cup, which is what I'm calling it. Yes, so essentially what I do with that is I put in like a spoonful or two of peanut butter into some jelly, and then I just kind of spoon it out of the cup. And it's pretty good. It's definitely giving PB&J as it should. But yeah, that combination with some coffee kind of righted the ship for me, and the rest of the day was just up from there. So that was good. I guess I just needed a little bit more food in me. So it goes. But yeah, pretty much the rest of the day was pretty cherry. It was good. Post work, we get to the gym. Gym was busy. It was packed, but we got in there. We got a good pump, so I felt pretty good about that. Post the gym, I had to make a grocery run since I didn't do it over the weekend. Was able to pick up everything I needed to pick up, so that was good. Thumbs up there. I come home, I put up all the groceries, I do a little bit of a stretch, I do some research for tonight's episode, and here we are, ready to yap about said news. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into the news. I will say it's looking like it's going to be another rainy week again, which I'm not enjoying the idea of that, especially given the circumstances from last week. But hey, knock on wood, we stay on the, the straight and narrow. We don't wind up doing any more off-road and crazy turning, you know what I mean? Also, I just generally hate getting rained on when I'm at work, too. Like, that's just never fun, considering it's like... And I have to explain this every once in a while, because people go, what do you mean get rained on at work? You don't work outside. I'm like, no, I know I don't, but the way the trash compactor is set up, it's like they literally just spot welded the compactor to the warehouse. Like, that's how it works. And because it's so shoddy... whenever it rains, it pours through the compactor. So yeah, when it really is pouring down, cats and dogs, it's raining on me. Just remember that when you're in the local area. But hey, so it goes. Ooh. All right. First story coming out of CBS News. And to a certain extent, this story took place around Thursday. This is when this story started. By the time I kind of was like ready to be able to talk to it, which was like on Monday, it was seemingly getting closer to resolved. and or I didn't really have a lot of details. So I was like, let me just wait till Tuesday. If I hear any more, cool, we'll go off of that. So that's more or less where we're at with it. Plus, it kind of dovetails pretty well into the story coming in after. So let's just get started here. From CBS News. Massive blast ruled out at California chemical leak in Orange County as officials say crisis is not over. Now, I'm just going to read the bullet points on this one. There is a whole kind of like timeline style readout of events if you want to go through that. But let's see. Firefighters were alerted Thursday to a chemical vapor leak from a failing tank at GKN Aerospace in Garden Grove that contained methacrylate, a highly flammable toxic epoxy. I'm going to take a quick aside here. Methacrylate is a clear flammable liquid and chemical monomer primarily used to manufacture shatter-resistant acrylic plastics like plexiglass and surface coatings and medical bone cements. It is hazardous due to its flammability and tendency to undergo rapid heat generation or heat generating polymerization. I did not say that well, but just so we know what we're working with here. Let's see. Within hours, Orange County Fire Authority's officials said that if the tank failed, it would either spill nearly 7,000 gallons of chemicals or cause a catastrophic explosion. Now, I'm kind of just gathering this from what I recall earlier today, just kind of listening to start here. But I think something to the effect of, because of the heat, there was causing this kind of like bulging of the tank. And I think they said the word was beveling was something they were really worried about happening, essentially causing an explosion from this lack of ability to like be able to like get the gas out, the leak out, whatever. So they were fighting to kind of cool it down, spray it down over the weekend, and essentially doing so allow it to form into a plastic since it's not being superheated anymore, and it wouldn't explode. So that would be good. So that was where we were at, I think, around the weekend. But crews discovered a crack in the tank on Saturday night, noting that it may aid the release of the pressure and change the trajectory of their response. On Sunday, officials announced that an all-night mission was planned to test the pressure inside the tank and determine next steps. On Monday, officials said that the operation was successful and the threat of a massive explosion was off the table. So that was good. That was part of the reason why I was like, well, if I'm already hearing like it's the coast is kind of clear, quote unquote, and like, do I really like, is this worth covering? But naturally, I'm also thinking too, like, this is a gas leak or a chemical leak that happened, and a bunch of people, had to be evacuated. Also, they were saying, hey, like, there's a low risk of like any kind of exposure, contamination, but if you like smell like I think like a sweet smell or something like that, then obviously you need to get out of that area. You need to leave. So I'm like, in every one of these situations, even if there's like no instant reported deaths or whatever, like these stories are important. You want to get to the bottom of them to a certain kind of extent, or at least know what's happening. But let's see here. Let me go ahead. Mandatory evacuation orders issued for nearly 50,000 Orange County residents in the communities of Garden Grove, Buena Park, Anaheim, Stanton, Westminster, and Cypress were reduced on Monday after officials said in a news conference that the risk of a worst-case scenario had been avoided. California Governor Gavin Newsom issued a state of emergency for Orange County and asked President Trump for federal emergency declaration. Mr. Trump approved that request on Monday. Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer has opened an investigation into GKN Aerospace, asking whistleblowers with information regarding the operations at the facility to come forward with information. So yeah, that's the story in California. As it lies. I imagine, we might get some more updates, and I will come back to the scene. But to another chemical exposure situation from the Associated Press. Chemical tank implosion at Washington Pulp and Paper Mill leaves 10 injured. Unknown number dead. In the implosion of a chemical tank at a pulp and paper mill in southwestern Washington state on Tuesday injured at least 10 people, while an undisclosed number of others were killed or remain missing, authorities said. I know that the number is at least one, but I think that they're just waiting for a little bit longer for like literally the dust to clear in this kind of situation, to come back with a better, more accurate number. In a joint statement, Nippon Dynawave Packaging Company and local first response agencies confirmed there have been fatalities. Cowlitz Fire and Rescue Chief Scott Goldstein later told a news conference that it was unclear how many workers have been killed. Asked how many remain missing, he replied, "We have information on that, but we're not releasing that information." Among those injured was a responding firefighter. Authorities said some victims had suffered burns or inhalation injuries, and that the severity of the injuries ranged from minor to critical. There was no immediate threat to the public, they said. The statement, issued more than 4 hours after the tank imploded at 7:15 a.m., said crews were continuing recovery operations and that no identifying information would be released about victims pending notification of relatives. Some people waited at the company's visitor entrance on Tuesday, seeking information about loved ones who worked at the facility. They declined to comment to an Associated Press reporter. The Nippon Dynawave Packaging Company facility is a pulp and paper mill and liquid packaging plant along the Columbia River in Longview, a city of about 38,000 that has had a relationship with the paper and lumber industries since its founding by a Kansas City timber baron in the 1920s. The facility, which employs about 1,000 people, makes material for tissues, printing paper, cups, plates, cartons, and other goods. It is located in an industrial zone shared by other timber, paper, and chemical businesses, and it remains central to the community. Let's see, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. The 80,000-gallon tank that imploded was about 60% full, Goldstein said. It contained a chemical brew known as white liquor, a corrosive substance that consists mainly of sodium hydroxide and sodium sulfide, and is used to break down wood and make craft paper, a durable paper used in packaging, shopping bags, and other products. It's too early to determine the cause of the implosion, Goldstein said. So we're going to leave the story there for right now. Once again, just like the California situation, I imagine there will be more details that will bring me back to the story. But that being said, definitely just really scary to hear, and then having the thumbnail, at least an overview picture of that scene. But imagine being on the ground and then just like a big ass fucking explosion of this white liquor going everywhere. I don't know, and maybe this is a bit crass or whatever, but I guess for the sake of levity, it makes me think of a Batman scenario that you're gonna make a fucking Joker level villain out of. This motherfucker's gonna come out with a vengeance. The paper man. I gotta stop. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Unfortunately, a lot of scary and or tragic stories on deck for today, but so is the news from CNN. Actually, let me take a quick water break. All right. 4 killed as Belgian school bus hit by train after appearing to plow through barrier. 2 children were among 4 people killed when a school minibus was hit by a train after appearing to plow through a barrier at a level crossing in northern Belgium on Tuesday morning, police said. Local authorities in Buggenhout in northern Belgium said in a statement that a serious traffic accident took place in the town at around 8 a.m. local time on Tuesday. Photos from the scene show a minibus lying on its side next to the railway track. Emergency services rushed to the scene, where scores of professionals worked quickly amid high temperatures to retrieve those needing medical attention. The fatalities included 2 pupils aged 12 and 15, as well as an attendant, 27, and the bus driver, 49. According to Public Prosecution Service spokesperson Lisa DeWild. 5 more children were seriously injured during the incident and are now in stable condition in hospital. When asked if the incident was due to human error, spokesperson Ann Berger said it's too early to say anything. Belgian authorities said in an update on Tuesday evening that the train driver tested negative for drugs and alcohol. An autopsy will be carried out on the body of the school bus driver, who did not have any prior convictions, authorities said. Investigation has been opened into the cause of the accident, with a traffic expert appointed and a forensic laboratory active on the scene, the local government said in a statement. So I imagine there will be more details to come. Obviously, it's unfortunate whenever we cover any one of these situations, especially when children are involved. Obviously, my condolences goes out to all the families and people impacted by this whole fucking situation here in Belgium. Hopefully, we can come back with more details on what caused what. I feel like there's definitely something there with, because I know that they add too that like there was like a red light and then it seemed like that was completely blown through, and then also the barrier was blown through. So like something happened, whether it may be technical, whether it be some kind of actual human error, we don't know as of yet. I definitely don't want to speculate in a situation like this. So, we'll see, what evidence, comes out, what the facts say, and then we can come back and talk about this further. But yeah, we have one more story that I wanted to cover. A bit of an update on the U.S.-Iran war conflict operation project. I don't know, what are we calling it today? But yeah, let's go ahead and take our last break, and then we'll close it out there. I actually should have gotten... Well, I feel like I should have gotten gas today. I was like, I'll push it till tomorrow. But this is not like I have any kind of like finger on the fucking pulse here. This is just me just speculating wildly, thinking like, well, if things were kind of good over the weekend, or at least if the market and people were believing that at the pump, at least in terms of what the pump is selling, then like, looking at what we're about to talk about, I don't think it's going to stay that way. So I'm probably going to look like a doo-doo head dummy tomorrow when the gas goes up, or will be up. But we'll see. Fingers crossed. Let's knock on some fucking wood here. All right. From the BBC. U.S. launches new strikes on Iran, targeting missile sites and boats. The U.S. said it launched new strikes on southern Iran on Monday, targeting Iranian missile sites and boats, attempting to place mines. The strikes were in self-defense, put that in quotations, as did the BBC, and designed to protect our troops from threats posed by Iranian forces, U.S. Command, or CENTCOM, said in a statement. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, said on Tuesday it had downed a U.S. drone and fired at a fighter jet and another drone that entered Iranian airspace, state media reported. It did not specify when this happened. It added that Iran had the legitimate and definite right to retaliate against any U.S. ceasefire violations. Let's see here. Now, this is all on like the heels of the weekend where I was hearing, oh, a ceasefire deal is imminent. They're just working on it right now. And I'm like, bro, I don't even feel like yapping about that. We already know how this shit goes. Like, they're just running this playbook every fucking time. This time down to the point where you have Iranian ambassadors or whatever the fuck going to negotiate. They're there in the spot. I think it might be Qatar. I don't fucking know. But essentially, they're there ready to negotiate while this shit is happening. So it's like, clearly no one is being serious here, especially on the U.S. But, I mean, hey, that's just my take on the matter. But anyway, the U.S. strikes targeted an area near Bandar Abbas, a southern port city and home of an Iranian naval base that sits on the Strait of Hormuz. The New York Times quotes, I had to burp it out there, a senior military official as saying, Iranian state media had earlier reported that local officials in Bandar Abbas were investigating after explosions were heard. I'm gonna kind of just say the rest of this is kind of yada yada yada. We will see if there's actually any peace ahead, if there is a brighter dawn on the horizon. I don't really think so. Like, I was willing to, like, be open to the thought, but then, of course, this all plays out the way it does. Like, in my mind, yes, of course, Iran is going to continue to place mines. And, like, I'm in no way, shape, or form surprised that, the U.S. is going to take any and all actions as a provocation to be like, oh, yeah, it's self-defense. Let's go fucking green. Boom, 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 boom. Because they're trying to fucking kind of do as much arm twisting as they can, kind of saber rattle as much as you can. Shit, blow off a little, pop off a bit, and say, hey, we're serious. You got to come to the table and give us what we want. We want a deal that is better than the deal that you made with Obama. And essentially they're like, there's no way in hell we're going to do that, dog. Like, you have us over a barrel, sure, whatever, but we want concessions that are going to actually get us off this fucking barrel, and we can make those fucking calls. So we're just still at the same kind of stalemate here. We're still not getting anywhere. Prices are still high as fuck. Like, it sucks that, once again, not just the American consumer, but people all over the world just have to get used to this. Like, there's just no end in sight for it. Because I've said this before, even if they came to the table, shook hands, came up with a deal that worked for both sides, and we opened up the strait, and everything got quote unquote flowing, it wouldn't just start flowing. We would still have to let this shit actually percolate and flow, and then we would get things going maybe 6 months to a year from now. Not to mention, we would still be reeling from the fallout of where we are at now and the damage that has just been happening economically, the whole fucking shock of the crisis, so to speak. So things aren't looking good. Obviously. You don't need my fucking dumbass to tell you that. But, yeah, I was hoping to be like, hey, maybe we come back with actually, like, say, hey, peace has been achieved, quote unquote, and that would be fun. Mission accomplished. Get your jumpsuit out. But that's not where we're at. We're not even fucking close to that. It sucks ass, dude. It's so booty cheeks. But so it goes. That's the news sometimes. But yeah, that's the episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/News. Become a newsie today. Roll call is coming up. Got a shout out and, all that coming down the pipe if you like. But let's see. Free ways to hit me up. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you like to listen. Let's see. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars on Spotify. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts are always appreciated. Give me all them thumbs up. Let's see. But if you don't want to do any of that, you don't want to fuck with digital social media, I fucking get it. You don't want to fucking leave any of those reviews. It's weird. It's cringe. Awesome. That's fine. I really just appreciate you just hanging out today. Just listening to me yap about my happenings and so-ons and go-ons and whatnots. Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.